Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to a GUUCAST episode. But today we have a very special personality. Today we're going to be bringing on the one, the only, the first American world champion. We've had a world champion in the past from North America, but not one specifically for or from America. So welcome, the world champion Paulie Aronson to the GUUCAST. Spamming the
What's up, guys?
spam the USA flags as USA. But this is pretty awesome. I'm really glad to have you on, Paulie, because I feel like you're the epitome of hard work, and what hard work translates to results wise. Because I think a lot of people don't really get to see the behind the scenes, but I know the amount of hours, the amount of sweat you put into preparing for this, really, tournament, this really, really big tournament, the one that I think every Yu-Gi-Oh player should look forward to. And so I think we'll just kick it off and have you kind of start off with the first question, which is, how does it feel to be a world champion?
It's awesome. Every tournament I go to, it's like I try my hardest to practice as much as I can to try to win. And like when it works out and you win, it's awesome. It's like yeah, I did it. Like, it's like achieving a personal goal. And the personal goal in this case happens to be the big one. So
yeah. So
what happened on the stage? What happened when they were asking you questions about how do you feel and like about winning the world championship, right? And you answer like, what should I say? Like, should I say about how was my travel in Japan and stuff like that? How did you like?
The first thing I said was like, what should I say? Because they came up to me and they gave me the mic and they didn't say anything. So like usually when you're interviewed, right, like there's always like some introduction or they're like, how do you feel about such and such? But like, I don't think the guy spoke English, so like they didn't say anything. They just handed me the mic. So I was like, oh, what am I supposed to say? So I literally said, I was like, what do I say? Or something like that.
Yeah, I could tell it was a little bit of awkwardness because I feel like, I saw you like on stage and I'm like, I actually was like, I couldn't help but laugh and smile. I'm like, this is so like such a Paulie moment, Like
I know it was, right? It was so funny. And then like, and I was like, all right, I guess I'll just talk about the weekend. And then like, yeah, I mean like the first thing that like I had been saying all weekend about was like, it's been an awesome trip. Like we had a ton of fun on Friday. Like I made a bunch of new friends. Like all those things are still true. So I was like, I guess I'll start there. And then yeah, it was fun and it was a good time. And then the tournament. And then I forget what I said about the tournament, but like, yeah, probably what I said a minute ago. Just it was awesome to like, achieve like after putting all the work in, just be able to achieve a win.
I think one of the things you mentioned, because I remember it vividly, even though it was like 5 a.m. for me, but I remember it vividly where you were saying something about how the amount of work that Konami put in the live stream and then also the opening ceremony really made you like feel a type of way. And I think like you said, you were getting emotional at some point as well. I guess what I like to think more is like more about that part, right? Because I know a lot of people going on Twitter and stuff, they're just complaining. They're just like, this Konami live stream was awful, they're playing in basements, like all these memes, all this stuff, right? How about let's hear from your perspective, the person who's actually at Worlds.
Yes, it was crazy because like they'd hinted at us, like they'd hinted that like tomorrow we're going to a different venue and like you guys are gonna be impressed. Like they had hinted that like it was gonna be something cool, and so like I was seeing all these comments on social media about like, oh, this venue like sucks, like blah blah blah, they're playing in the back rooms, blah blah blah, and then like going on day 2, just like getting to finally see like the actual venue for finals, it was like I just woke up like, this is insane. Like just seeing the stage, it was like bigger that even with after them telling us that like we were going to a separate venue and it was going to be way bigger, like I still like couldn't have expected it to be like what it was. Like it was so much bigger than I expected. And yeah, just like seeing all those comments when I didn't see all the social media comments at the time because I was like busy with the tournament. But like when I like a couple days later when I went back and like looked on like Zodiac Duelist and social media and like saw all the comments, I was just thinking to myself like damn, like this is what you guys get. No, not like that. But I'm trying to think what I was thinking.
Yeah, like
kind of like
this
like,
is what you took
like
away
this,
from the World Championship, kind of, right? Or that's what you, or what do you mean?
Oh, just like seeing all it's like, and it's just funny at the time, like all these people complaining. It's just like, you guys should wait till tomorrow. And then just like, I feel like everyone who was complaining about it, like probably like, ate their words, so to speak, right? And like in the end, when it was like, I just thought the final stage was awesome.
Yeah.
I understand people's criticisms though about like, if it had been a little bit more respectful for both days, it'd been a little nicer to all the players, right? Instead of just those of us who made it to the end. But like, I think at the very end they had everyone up. Everyone came up on stage, all the players for all the events. So it was cool. Just for me personally, like not just like being able to like show all the people who are complaining, like in the end, like, see, look, they actually did come through. Konami did come through. But also just like for me personally, seeing the ceremony from like, I was watching backstage on like a TV screen, so I didn't actually get to see it like the actual stage live. But being in the venue and like especially the sound, like hearing the audio, like the sound system was crazy in the venue. Like I watched it on live stream yesterday. Actually, I was rewatching the ceremony, and it was nothing compared to actually being there in person. Like hearing the live band play, the flute players and the drummers, like hearing the live band play in person, like even just watching on the screen, like but with the sound system live was just insane. I started crying during the opening ceremony just because it was like, this is amazing, and just like knowing I was going to be part of something that like awesome in person was really cool. So that was like, for me, like prior to winning, that was one of the highlights of the weekend. It still is. The opening ceremony is was one of my favorite parts of the weekend.
So how many times have you rewatched yourself in the finals cooking?
I like skimmed through the live stream yesterday. Like I watched, I think I've rewatched the opening ceremony more than I've watched my match. I don't think I actually. I think I might have watched it once, like parts of. I don't always like watching myself because sometimes it feels kind of cringy.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, oh my god, I did that. But I watched it like once, a little skimmed it. Yeah.
Even though I do agree to an extent that the venue was much better for the final, don't you think that they should have showed the same respect to the other people as well that qualified for the World Championship qualifier, grinding the entire year, accumulating points and stuff like that, giving them a better venue at the end?
Well, like I said, they did at the very end bring everyone up on stage, all the competitors from all the events. But yes, like it would have been nice. Yeah, it would have been nicer probably if they. I would like, if up to me, I probably would have, like, if they had to, let's say, lessen the final stage a little bit, make it a little smaller in exchange, be able to do a little bit more for the the rest of the rounds for the full weekend. I'd be on board with that for sure. Like that would
okay.
Maybe next year. We'll see. I agree.
Okay, so no, I mean, yeah, like hopefully it will change in the future, the next year, I guess. And you're going towards the next year. So how do you feel about that? You're gonna live that experience again, and you're gonna be again on the stage representing the US. Like, are you gonna be less nervous? How do you think about that? How are you gonna approach to the experience of Worlds for a second time?
So first thing, I don't know 100% yet if I will be able to play next year or not. I'm pretty sure this year the 2019 champion was not playing, and I don't know why.
Yeah,
and
I
that
heard.
Tells me
Yeah, I heard that it was only invited back for 2020, but because 2020 was COVID, like I think Kuki Kosaka, who won in 2019, only got invited to the 2020 World Championship, but because it's now the 2023 World Championship, he didn't get invited back. Those were the rumors I heard. I don't know if it's exactly true or not, but yeah.
I heard something similar, but I don't know if it's true or not. I feel like that wouldn't be very fair to him. I hope that's not what happened, but I think I saw a comment on Twitter somewhere that he was playing in the Master Duel event.
He was playing the Master Duel one. Yeah.
Oh, he was.
Yep.
So okay, so like maybe he just similar to here how Jesse and Ryan, right, just got invited because just because they're such great players. Maybe he just got invited by like Japanese qualifier to play Master Duel, and maybe just decided to do that instead. Like I'm guessing that's probably what happened. But I don't know for sure, which is why, like, I've reached out to Konami to try to find out. But we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah.
For sure. Hoping I do though. I mean, I guess like if I do, that's just straight up like probably one of the coolest parts of the prizes, right? I mean, aside, well, the prizes are nice, but like for sure. But also like just like that's probably like one of the like the night I won, that was actually one of the parts I was like the most excited about. I was like,
Oh, you'll be back here next
thinking
year,
like
right?
I get,
Yeah.
like I get to play next year. This is so cool.
So
And like, cause like, yeah, I loved preparing for the event just cause like it. I mean, we'll probably talk about that later, but yeah, just be able to do it again, like to go again and try to, and you know, try to grind like I did.
Back world champ, eh? That's how you get.
I mean, listen, statistically speaking, that would be highly unlikely, but we'll, you know, I'll try it.
I mean, high unlikely. Come on, brother. Like it's like, in my opinion, it's more than doable.
Well, you never know. You never know. I mean, I when I really want to try to, you know, try to do well in an event, I put as much time in as I can. So I'm gonna do my best again if I get to go back.
Were you able to follow also the Master Duel event? Like, did you rewatch the Master Duel event on or how it looked like?
The finals?
Yes, the final as well.
So yeah, I actually didn't. I unfortunately didn't catch any of it. I know they were live streaming a lot of Master Duel on day one. But you know, I was playing, so I didn't. I was focused on my own event, so I didn't really catch any of the stream really, or any of the Master Duel stuff that was going on. They were playing in a separate room as well, so we didn't. Well, we were all. I think we were all in the same room in between rounds. Because they had a separate, they had like there was a room where the TCG OCG was playing. There was a room where Master Duel was being played, and I think Duel Links as well. And then there was a room, a player lounge room, which is where we all hung out in between rounds. And as soon as you finished your match, you had to leave the play room and go back to the player lounge. So I think we were all hanging out there in between rounds together. But no, I didn't, like, I was never in the Master Duel playroom. And we weren't really able to spectate at all anything, even our own event, in other words. And I didn't watch any of the stream. I was just so focused. I wasn't really I wasn't on my phone watching anything.
Yep.
And then for finals on day 2, I unfortunately didn't catch any of the other events because I was playtesting. So I think Mateo was in the crowd. Most of my friends, everyone was watching, you know, Master Duel and Duel Links in the crowd with you know, with other players and all their friends. It kind of sucked because I wanted to I definitely wanted to watch with everyone and be able to see you know, Jesse and Ryan play and everyone else and Ray and, you know, the finals. But I was preparing for my final match. I was on DB testing against Sword Soul.
Yeah.
I tried to put together a list of what I thought Mateo was kind of playing during the weekend, and yeah, I was just running reps on my phone on DB for 2 hours in the corner while everyone was watching Master Duel.
Yeah, I think that's a good point to bring up. So I wanted to actually ask about this, and
when I say I grind, I mean I grind.
Yeah, and I know you made a tweet about this too, but for you, I know Konami, you know, put out the Master Duel platform. I guess for you, and I know you play a lot on Dueling Book. What is it about Dueling Book that makes it such a good testing platform for you? Because I mean, you've had a lot of success this past year with, you know, won 2 YCSs and then you won Worlds, and a lot of your testing is actually only Dueling Book, correct? So I guess maybe you can talk about the benefits of that and how how that helps translate to you to real life play, because I think that's the hardest part. People trying to find the translation between playing on DB and then now taking that knowledge that you learn from DB. How do you take that to the IRL stage, pretty much?
Yeah, no, I would love to talk about DB. I'm a huge advocate of Dueling Book. I consider it to be a uniquely valuable tool to competitive players. I don't think there's anything that's quite like DB. I've been told one of the other simulators has instituted a manual mode, so maybe that's not technically true. Maybe there is a similar options, but at least for me, I've always loved DB. I'm super used to it, but no, and unfortunately, I know it sucks because I know the platform is not very popular. I think with, you know, Konami itself. I mean, obviously, I guess it's a competitor to their Master Duel games and, you know, their other platforms. But I do think it's a really really valuable tool. So basically, one is the fact that, you know, it gives you access to the entire card pool. You can literally test any deck you want, and 2 minutes later be testing a different deck. You can change cards in and out. It's so efficient. It's such an efficient way to just the only other way to have access to any card you want that quickly is through proxying, right? If you're playing in person, you just proxy cards. But even that like takes time to like write out proxies or like identify like certain cards. Or this is going to be this. Like it's like whereas on DB you literally just go to deck builder, click some buttons, and you can just test whatever you'd like, whatever deck, whatever build, whatever you can try attack card like 1, 2, 3. Like there's solo modes really useful if you want to just like do rapid fire testing. And yeah, so the fact that you've access to like the whole card pool for free, the fact, and then the second big thing is the fact that it's manual. So like when you're in a duel room playing, like the ability to go back and like change something or like try a different line or like pause and just like sit there and like try different options and try different lines and move cards around. It's like as if you have the cards like in front of you in person, right? Like it's as if you're literally working with like hands-on, you know, manual cards.
Yep.
Whereas other simulators, a lot of them are automated, so you know you can't go back. You can't just like you know, oh, you know what, that was a misplay. Let me go back. Let's try this other line. So that's like the second thing, the fact that it's, you know, hands-on and you can go back and try different things. And then like, I mean, those are the two main things. Aside from that, also like, let's see. I mean, the fact that you have access to the rated pool is really good. I think there's a lot of competitive players who play, you know, who grind rated. So you know, you can just, if you have a deck you're trying to test, you can just test it against like a variety of different stuff. So you can just go into the rated pool and play against like, especially if you have access to a high rated account, mostly you'll be playing against meta. So that's very useful for kind of simulating like let's say day one of like a big tournament where you're facing like a variety, but like mostly meta, right? So it's kind of like rated pool is very similar to like day one of an event, let's say. Yeah. And so and I think like more competitive players play DB than like the other simulators. So definitely, yeah. So in terms of like I said, simulating like kind of day one of an event, that's probably like the third biggest plus.
I wanted to ask also about I think it was like pretty insightful into like for people who are hesitant on playing on DB, because I see complaints all the time like, oh, I don't want to play on DB. I like playing with like real cards and all that good stuff. Now,
well, I understand that.
The thing that I also want to follow up on is, you know, a lot of people make memes and jokes about, oh, like you're just a DB warrior, you know, like you'll never top IRL and stuff like that. But for you, like DB has been a really good testing ground for you. So, so I guess for you is like, how do you translate what you learn on Dueling Book to playing in person? Because I think the biggest criticism is that like, while it may kind of simulate IRL play as much as possible, there's, I guess, like stuff about playing in person that might be, you know, outside factors that, you know, instead of when you play from DB, you're playing from the comfort of your home type thing, right? So maybe you can talk about that aspect too.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
So there's a couple differences, including even in the gameplay itself. So the biggest thing is, well, I guess I'll go over this. Well, yeah, I'll go over that first. So on DB, especially like because there's no time limit, both in playtesting and even in the rated pool, it's different than IRL play. I think it's the like pure, almost like the like purest, like most like truly competitive form of Yu-Gi-Oh, because both players have the ability to like truly think through your plays to the fullest extent and like truly try your best to come up with the best play.
Yeah.
As opposed to and like, so I think it's like I view DB as like not just as like the best tool for competitive players, but also like as like the highest form of competitive play, if that in a way. And I know that's like sounds silly, right? It's like, oh, it's just a fake digital game that's free versus like, you know, these real tournaments that we try so hard for. But like in a way, it's I do feel it's like almost the highest form of like competitive play we can have access to because there's no time limit. In person, you never like, at least ever since the time rules changed and well, not even that so much as just like as the card games become more complicated in recent years, you never truly like have the time to like fully sit there and think through every single line and like make sure you're always making the perfect play. Like you have to make concessions and you have to like make decisions sometimes where you're not 100% sure if you're making the right decision, but you know, you're making the best decision you can with the time constraints that you have. And sometimes you have to go with like a line that looks good, like, but you don't know if it's perfect, but it's like, well, I've already been sitting here for like, you know, 30 seconds. I got to commit to one, and you know, you do your best. So it's like, it's a little bit of a different game almost, because it's like you're, you know, yeah, like you have to make the best play you can with the time available to you. Whereas on DB, it's you have to make the goal is to make the best play, period. And like I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh kind of used to be like that, just because like, I mean, I would say probably like the net number of total actions that is performed during a turn of modern Yu-Gi-Oh is far higher than like the net number of actions that was performed during a turn in Yu-Gi-Oh in like 10 years ago. So like there's just like you have less total thinking time available to you than in the past. So in the past it was more so like there would have been less of a difference, I would say. But now there's definitely like a difference. The time factor just makes so much more of a difference than it used to. But I'll say this. If anything, that just makes DB even more valuable because like practicing without a clock, like and being able to go through all of the lines and all the options and really figure out those like perfect plays, like, and then being able to take that to a tournament where you've already gone through a lot of the thought process and you've already figured out a lot of the shortcuts and like, all right, well, I already know when I'm in this situation, I do this play. When I'm in this situation, I do this play. Like being able to have already figured all that out ahead of time, going into the tournament, and then being able to like not have to take as much time to figure out those like solutions, during the actual round is really, really beneficial. And that's just, I mean, just testing in general. That's why I say testing in general is so important in modern Yu-Gi-Oh because you just don't have time to like always like sit there and like think through everything, live. So yeah, just being able to like play on DB and like just have all that knowledge that you're able to take your time and like just do all that testing, like, and just, like I said, just having access to the whole card pool and learning all the options and all the decks and just being able to like bring all that knowledge to the tournament, is really valuable.
Yep. No,
and then I guess to answer Pac's your original question about any other potential differences between DB and IRL play, there are like, so external to gameplay, there are definitely differences that DB cannot help you with, and that make kind of practicing in person also important. For example, like body language, or like the physical stress of like playing in an environment where there's distractions around, there's more noise. There's someone physically in front of you who might be trying to play mind games with you, or who might seem intimidating. I know I've heard some players say, like that other certain players feel intimidating and can, they felt tilted because of that or something like that, right? So like those are factors that obviously DB can't simulate. No form of digital play can simulate, and that you just, for those things, just physically practicing in person is also important for those things. I guess others would be like, like there's the body language factor, the intimidation factor. Like I said, the big thing is the time factor. Yeah, I mean, there's probably others, but yeah.
Okay.
Yo, Pa, do you want me to DM Steven? He should pay us for this sponsorship.
Yeah,
that's broke.
True. True.
He should definitely pay. He should definitely pay us for this sponsorship. Anyways, talking about the line.
Konami's gonna see this and be so sick. They're gonna be like, God damn it! You had to talk about Dueling Book.
We're gonna talk about Konami as well in a second. But talking about the lines, because you were talking about the lines that you can keep practicing on DB, I cannot stop thinking about your game too. That was such a perfect gameplay.
Yeah, that
was such a perfect.
Yo, Paulie,
brother,
Paulie, you have to. Okay, let me say one thing. Let me say one thing, Nesh. I was watching the live stream with Nesh of you playing that game 2 and the finals, and Nesh was like, "Yo, Paulie's misplaying, bro. What is he doing?" And I was like, "Bro, I think Paulie made a better board than what you talked about, Nesh." And you did, bro. And Nesh was sitting from the comfort of his home, bro. Actually, world champion. Anyways, Nesh.
Wait a second, bro. Let me excuse myself for a second, because otherwise I will get attacked, brother. When I thought I was on the best line, okay, but then you did that. I saw your endboard. I'm like, Pac, I was wrong. Then I think, bro, I'm such a bad loser that I ran that line like 10 times in solo mode.
God.
And that shit was literally a computer line. That shit was the best humanly possible line.
Oh,
and it was
nice.
it was such an hard feeling to accept it, because I thought I was nice with Dragon Link, but after I saw you playing that game too, I was like, my brother, like there is so much to learn. On God, I cried. On God, I cried. I'm not joking. I think I saw the light, and the light showed me the line, and the line delivered me back to your picture in front of my wall. That was broken.
Oh
that was
God.
such a Carlsen move, like Magnus Carlsen move. That was like seeing 20 steps forward in the future. Like that was such a movie right there. I'm sorry.
Thanks.
No, that line was
I'll take
insane.
that. I'll take
Yeah, that was beautiful. That was beautiful gameplay. Yeah.
Thanks.
Bro, you gave me the best like boner of my life. I think that even my exes couldn't
like
do.
That.
Like that's all I'm saying. Anyways, like let's go back to the point and going back to
what the fuck?
Going back to Konami, I would like to ask you, how can Konami convince you or convince a player of your caliber to move on their platform? What they should do or how they should approach to the player base in order to move the competitive scene on their platform?
So I think the biggest thing would be to get the competitive player base onto Master Rule. They would have to sync the formats. I think if Master Rule used the same band list that TCG used and the same rules, I think that alone, because at that point, like any competitive player could pick up Master Rule any day, right? And it's the same format they've been practicing. So like you just pick it up and play a game, right? Whereas as a competitive player, the only reason I really don't play Master Duel is because it's a different format. It's the same reason I don't play retro formats, or I don't play a different other card games that I would that sometimes I really would like to. It's just because I know if I really want to stay as competitive as I can at Yu-Gi-Oh, and I really want to devote and dedicate my time to this game that I love and want to be competitive, and it's like I have to focus on it as much as I can. And Master Duel, it's a different format. It's kind of like, it's not a different card game, but it's a slightly different card game, right? It's a different format. There's Max C's legal. It's a different ban list. It's just a different format. And so as an ultra competitive player, let's say, I don't want to split my time between two different formats.
Yeah.
If it was the same format, I probably would play it sometimes. I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily, though. I think it's cool to have different formats in the same game to cater to different players. But yeah, I think they definitely could combine them without any real. I don't think there'd really be any downside, and I think that would probably bring over more TCG players. But it would probably, would it turn off OCG players potentially because they have a different format themselves? But right now Master Duel is different from both formats, so you could argue that, well, at least if you synced it with one of the two formats, it would bring over like one of the two groups of players. But then they would have to make a decision: do they want to sync it with TCG, or do they want to sync it with OCG? And maybe that's why they made the decision to make it its own format rather than kind of favor one region over the other. They just chose the option that kept it neutral and made it its own game, which I respect. Mm-hmm. The format difference is probably the biggest barrier to entry for as a competitive player. But yeah, and that's again talking about playing Master Duel versus playing TCG. If we're comparing Master Duel to Dueling Book, I think that's a whole separate question, and that I think I don't think that would be a much harder question, because Dueling Book I view as it's not it's a tool. It's a tool for the TCG. It's a tool for testing in general. It's like I would never use Master Duel for what I use, even if they, let's say, sync the formats, like I said, and let's say I made it to Master Duel account and I played for fun and I played a lot. I still would use for my testing. I would still use Dueling Book for the reasons I said before. Yeah. Just because it's a manual, there would need to be a manual to replace Dueling Book. There would need to be a manual simulator, Konami would have to create a free manual simulator. Yeah. To recreate what Dueling Book is.
There are too many issues. I actually thought about it back in the days, and I still think about it, and I still ask questions about why Konami did not buy such a platform, because I think it would make a sense for Konami to buy such a platform cause of COVID. That like during COVID as well. Like if it was not for Dwelling Book, if it was not for the group on Facebooks about Yu-Gi-Oh, the format would have been dead, right? Like the Yu-Gi-Oh would have been dead in my opinion.
Yeah, like the LCSs were such a competitive like vein that kept Yu-Gi-Oh going like during that period.
Yeah. I think that's the thing that I think that's really, really hard. It's the.
No, I think next was gonna. I'm sorry, I didn't.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if next was. I don't think he was done.
Oh, Nisheva.
Okay, so
yeah.
So what I was saying is, yes. So basically, the thing is, Konami should buy a platform such as Dwelling Book, right? But the issue is the interaction in between players, the toxicity. That is the main, in my opinion, that is the main concern of why Konami does not buy a platform like that, because it can only create issue. So what are your thoughts about it? Like, why doesn't Konami buy such a platform? Is that only for that, or do you think any other?
Yeah.
I think there's other reasons. I don't think the chat toxicity is that big of an issue, because they could just turn off chat, right? Like even I understand Master Duel doesn't really. Correct me if I'm wrong. Master Duel does not really have a chat feature, right?
Yeah. It doesn't.
Okay,
it doesn't. It doesn't.
But years ago, the original official Konami Yu-Gi-Oh! Online platform did have a chat feature.
Oh, that's
it had
true.
a lot of filters. But that was it. You know, they put in place filters to moderate it, and definitely by modern standards, they would probably have to be more strict with it and put more work into moderation. But they did have a platform that had a chat feature. It was called YGO 2 and YGO 3. I think the last one was Yu-Gi-Oh! Online 3 Dual Evolution.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Online, I played that 2005, I think.
Yeah, it was like 05 through.
I
believe it was finally discontinued. The third one was finally shut down in I think 2010 or 2011.
Because people were selling digital copies of the cards on eBay and they were scamming people. Sorry, continue.
I don't think that was why I was trying. Well, that was the thing the whole time. I remember that even like in 07, 08 when I used to play the game a lot. I loved that game. I actually played I played the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Online back in the late 2000s a lot. And no, that was always the thing. People would sell. It was like trading. People would like sell a card on eBay, and then they would meet in like a trade room to like hand the card over. And I'm sure there was plenty of scamming, unfortunately, but that was kind of always a thing. And it still lasted for years after that. I think in 2011 they never really gave a reason for why they shut it down, but I think it just had it never really caught on with like, at least with like IRL TCG players. It just never had that much popularity. I think they just finally decided they didn't want to keep investing resources into it. Fortunately, now years later, we there is demand for that, and we have Master Rule, which is very similar to the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Online. Aside from the lack of chat, I think that might it's actually very similar to the original. And I'm glad that there's far more support for it than there was back then. But no, they did have a chat feature on the original. But what was I saying? I don't think that's the biggest issue to why they don't let's say purchase Dueling Book or something like that. I think I don't think it would really fit with their business model, because again, to replace Dueling Book, they would have to have, like I said, a free manual simulator. And if it's going to have to be free, then from their perspective, as a business decision, I don't see it. I imagine it's not really going to benefit them. And so like if they were to purchase it, they would probably have to turn it into like some kind of payment model. And as soon as there's like whatchamacallit, a paywall or like a paywall, like any as soon as it's anything other than free, like it's no longer that, like the first of the three reasons I gave as to why Dueling Book is such a unique tool was the fact that you have access to the entire card pool, and which just grants you so much efficiency for testing. Like as soon as it's no longer free, that benefit is lost. So if they were to buy it, like what they would have to turn it into would get rid of what it is. So I don't I can't imagine why they would want to like buy something or build something just to have it be free. So I think it's just not really, it just doesn't really fit into their business model to operate a free simulator. So
there are multiple ways to get monies from free simulators. Like you can use ads using AdSense, or you can buy, like sell skins. You don't have to necessarily sell the cards themselves. Like you can make still the game free, but you can sell skins, and you can
that's
sell
true.
like private
Actually,
pictures and stuff like that to post on the website.
that's true.
You can give more incentives, like give like particular stuff, personal sleeves, personal playmats, something to
That's
change the
true.
background and stuff like that, like a
I
puppet, the same as Master Duel, you know, like you don't
I
have
guess
to sell the cards themselves. Obviously, it's less
I guess I
money.
didn't. I also, I guess, it's funny. I didn't even think of it until like just now. But they could actually, I guess, they could also like have it not be free, but just do like a subscription model. Like you just pay $10 a month or $20 a month, and you just
Yeah.
have access to the platform. That would also work. As long as they're not, as long as it's not where like you have to pay for specific cards or try to grind for specific cards. That would be fine. Like if it was just, let's say, like you just pay for a subscription to be able to use the platform, I'd be fine with that. And I think
Yeah.
most competitive players probably would. So that would probably be one way to maybe make it sustainable for them.
I think,
but yeah, I think yeah.
no, I was gonna say like I think the reason why they haven't bought DN or like DB or whatever, my guess is that if you think about it, right, I think the goal of Konami is like from their perspective is to expand and get new players to play the game. But I don't think like a manual simulator helps with that. I think that's why like all the simulators are automated. That's why Master was automated, because like Master has brought more players into the game, and then hopefully then those people transition to like IRL play. But I feel like it almost has to be automated in the sense of like, newer players, like I think we're speaking from the perspective of we're competitive players. We know the game at a much deeper level and all of this stuff. But you got to think about the guy who's like literally just bought 3 structure decks, He didn't know the difference between anything, and
I mean that's the same with that's the same with paper cards though.
Yeah,
like, you could make the same argument with paper cards.
Yeah, that's also true. But I think like Master Duel, for example, taught a lot of people things that they would never learn IRL.
Yeah,
like for instance, like all the chain links and stuff. Like for example, like damage step, like all that kind of stuff. Like all the chain links that goes on, like those type of things that like you don't get those type of prompts IRL, right? But now that they know, it's kind of like a learning experience. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Master Duel. No, I think Master Duel is a great thing for like just for the broader community and for like the amount of new people it's brought in, just the how great it is, just as a game in and of itself. I think like it was a really cool thing that I'm really glad Konami, like built it and brought back an actual online simulator like they had years ago. Because I loved the original one. Yeah. If I didn't play TCG, I would probably be like a huge Master Duel grinder if I wasn't like
invested in the TCG. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So I think Master was really cool. And and like you said, like yes, I think like the free online simulator is like definitely it's definitely not going to have as much appeal to the majority of the community. So it probably wouldn't. It probably just another reason it probably wouldn't really be in Konami's interest to work on something like that. I'm glad we have it. I'm glad we have access to DB, and I'm glad it hasn't been shut down or anything. Because I think it's a great thing that like we as competitive players have that doesn't really compete, because it like for all the reasons we just discussed, it doesn't really compete with Master Duel. People always compare them, but like that's why I said like I view it as such a different thing, because like it's a practice tool. It's not like a game. I mean, it doesn't have crazy graphics. It's not automated. Like people aren't gonna really play DB just for fun unless you're truly like an invested like competitive player. So I don't think it hurts Konami for it to exist. I don't think it competes with Master Duel.
I'm used to that. So, it's all my fault.
So I'm glad we have we have all of them.
The next thing I wanted to ask about is, I know we're talking about
Master Duel. You have one more thing, Dad? What did I say? Nesh, what was that? Was Nesh sad?
We were talking about competitive people. Like, I might not be competitive, but I do have fun playing online. Like, I don't know. Like,
Nesh plays DB for fun. Yeah.
I do actually play DB for fun. Like,
I mean, there are definitely people who do that. I was making a very oversimplified point. There's certainly nuance to all of these different categories. Like there are plenty of people who do love grinding DB. I used to love grinding DB too. So
yeah, I'd be grinding DB, to be honest, on the low. But
Yeah.
anyways,
Oh, we know how you get, bro.
nah,
We know how
I'm
you
I'm a
get.
DV warrior at heart. Hey guys, go to txx1.com and use pack10 for 10% off. You can get access to the best sleeves, best over sleeves in the game for competitive play. The Supreme Pros are what I'm currently using for my main deck right now. And if you guys want to get access to them as well, go to txx1.com and use pack10 for 10% off. See you there. Anyways, enjoy the video. But I wanted to ask Paulie. So I know you been playing the game for a long time. You even talked about back in 2005. You heard about YUGIOH Simulator Part 5, whatever. But
yeah, I had it. I played it.
What led to your success and breakthrough this past year? Would you say you won 2 YCSs in one season? You won Worlds in this past season, and I feel like this last year was really what I feel like solidify your place as in the greatest of all time, and definitely as one of the GOATs, 100%, right? But what led to that breakthrough? And I feel like this would be nice for all the players who've been playing for a long time, So
yeah,
because I know you've been playing forever. You've been playing ARGs. You like haven't even. I think you topped your first YCS 2020. Your first YCS top was your first win too, right? You won the remote to YCS as your first top.
The first Konami Premier event that I topped, I won.
Yes. It was a remote one, right?
Yeah.
Yo, same.
It was the last remote duel one before in-person play return.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I mean, it's like no. I've been playing since I started going to locals and regionals in 2006.
Okay. Wow.
So I was 10 years old. 17 years ago. I'm 27 now. I started in 2006. I sucked for the first 2 years. But I kept going back to locals every week. I didn't play much. I just kind of played once a week. I didn't play much outside of that. But I went every week and I kept going back. And my locals actually, it was actually really big locals at the time. They had every week. They would actually have they had a casual division and a competitive division.
Yep.
So I think altogether we probably had 60 people every week if you put it all together, but it was 30-30 or something like that. And I always played the competitive division, even though I sucked and should have been playing the casual division because I always wanted to challenge myself. Even when they started doing Dragon Duels for bigger events, I always played the main event, even though I could have played Dragon Duel because I always wanted to challenge myself. But no, I just kept at it and kept playing, and eventually I took one break for a year and a half. Around Dragon Ruler time, just actually because of some health problems, I wasn't able to go out and play really for about a year and a half. So I took one break from the game, but came back and then started around that time was when ARGs were big, like you mentioned, and I went to a lot of ARGs because they had a lot of those in the Northeast.
Yeah, and I saw you did really well with the ARGs. You actually you topped a bunch of them, right? Back then.
Yeah. The mid to late 2010s, I had I think 8 ARG Circuit Series tops, and I had 2 third places, and those were my first. At the time, ARGs were considered similar to YCSs in terms of they were kind of ARG tops were categorized close to YCS tops as they were considered premier events. They were a little under YCS, but they were kind of then toward the end, ARGs kind of started to get a lot smaller, and they kind of became more regionals rather than YCSs. But no, yeah, they were really fun, and I did have a lot of tops in those, and that was my first kind of success. I also started getting around the same time my first couple regional wins. I think my first regional win was 2017, and then one in 2018, one in 2019, and but I couldn't top YCS, and it was funny because all my friends were well, okay, I didn't go to that many Konami events at the time. I only went to maybe Nats and then maybe one other YCS per year. So part of it was just I didn't go to that many. I wasn't able to go to that many premier events. That's why I was able to go to all the ARGs. It was nice. I was able to do well at some of those.
And Paulie, I'm just gonna stop you here real quick. So I wanted you. Can you explain to people what ARG is? So for the great audience who I started in 2019. I actually didn't even know what ARGs were. I just watched a lot of old Yu-Gi-Oh, but maybe you can explain to people what ARGs on and continue from there. Sorry.
Yes.
Yep.
So ARG stood for was a company. Ultra Reality Games was a shop originally based out of Ohio that got really big and started actually hosting their own. They called it the Circuit Series. Basically a tour of premier events with they actually gave us some really good cash prizes, and they made play mats, all the good stuff, and they first launched in the first circuit series in 2013, and I think the first one had like 500 or 600 people, and it was in like Texas, and it was just like they were kind of like YCS. It was just like a series of big events that a lot of competitive players would fly to from around the country. At least in the first couple years, for sure. That's why they were kind of considered comparable to YCSs, was because like all the competitive players would fly to them, just like YCSs. And I think Hoban won the first one. He won he ended up winning like a bunch. And he was the god. Hoban was the god of the mid 2010s. If you come nowadays, a lot of players don't really remember ARG that much anymore because like Pac said, a lot of newer players aren't familiar with what it was. But no, like for those of us who played at the time, they were considered basically premier events, and Hoban, had the most premier event wins because of that, by far, because he won, Nats, I think 2 YCSs, and he won like 5 ARGs or something like that. So, yeah, but and that's part of why he went the history behind how he became like the GOAT, so to speak, was he just had like by far the most premier event wins, and a lot of them were the ARGs. But now a lot of people don't remember ARGs much, and toward the end they started getting smaller to where like people wouldn't really fly them anymore. They'd be like a couple hundred people, and it would be more like the good players from the region, and kind of became more like kind of just like a big regional rather than like a YCS. So then it became kind of like blurred lines of like, all right, do we count these as premier event tops anymore or not? Because now this is more like a regional, and then from there it petered out, and yeah, now people don't really count them anymore. But that was the history of ARG. Ultra Reality Games, they did, and he also sponsored a team for a couple of years. It was like the team was like Billy Break, Hoban, Fraser Smith, I think George Orlando. It was like the GOATs at the time were all sponsored by ARG, so it was a huge name in the game, in the community. But yeah, that's what it was. And then I forgot. I don't remember what I was talking about before that.
Oh, you're talking about like your history of the game. So like, but basically you were talking about how like
right.
yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I love ARG because he did a lot of events in the Northeast. And so for me, that was huge because like not being able to travel, I couldn't really fly a lot because of health issues. So for me, being able to go to like pseudo premier events, in my area was awesome. And that was where I was finally able to start getting some, like I said, my first tops. And then, got some regional wins. And then my friends used to all joke with me, like, how do you not have a YCS top yet? Because like, I think someone was like, yo, are you like, you're probably the best player in the game without a YCS top. And I was like, I don't know if that's a title I should be proud of or like, fuck me. but then, and then COVID happened. I literally like right around, I was finally like, had made plans to start flying to YCSs like for the first time. My very first YCS I was gonna like fly to was Charlotte. And then Charlotte got canceled because we had this new disease came around called COVID. And so right as I was about to start finally traveling, COVID happened.
Yep. The remote duel era. The remote duel era. And so I took advantage of that, of having be with Remote Duel Hoop, being able to play, big events without having to travel. So I was really excited about Remote Duels, and I grinded like the Remote Duel locals and like the Remote Duel. They didn't do Remote Duel regionals until like toward the end, but when they did the first Remote Duel YCS, I was like, okay, like I've been like, this is like, I didn't get to go to Charlotte, but I'm about to grind for this, and I tested a lot for that one, and didn't do too well at the first one. But I actually had a funny story where I ended up, I was traveling to visit a friend during COVID that weekend, and I was flying home the day before the remote YCS to be home to play. And I missed my flight. Okay, I missed my flight because I went to get ice cream. That's a true story. And
that's crazy. That's crazy right there. You can stop right there. You don't need to explain.
You missed your flight because of ice cream. You're bozo.
And so they rerouted me. They did get me on a different flight. Like no charge. Very grateful. Thank you.
No charge.
Oklahoma Airport.
Oh,
yeah. Apparently that's the thing. I'm
actually that shit doesn't happen. They would ask for for your limbs.
No, they were like, hey, yeah, you're like 10 minutes late. Wording's you definitely missed wording. But like we'll see what else we can put you on. I was like, okay, thank you. And they were like, so they flew me to, I had a layover in Arizona, which was like the wrong direction. But they were like, yeah, you'll have a 4-hour layover in Arizona, and then you will put you on an overnight flight back to New York, because I needed to get back. Like, it was Friday afternoon, and I just needed to be back for Saturday for the tournament. And so I was like, all right, I'm out here. I'm going to Arizona. I'm going to the desert. Let's go. And that was my first time actually going to like the Western U.S. And so I landed in Arizona. I was like, oh wow, it's actually a desert here. This is crazy. It's like 110 degrees, like, or 112. I don't even remember. It was, you know how Arizona is. It was something absurd.
Wait,
and
110 degrees?
Yeah, because Phoenix, Arizona. So in the U.S., that state is like infamous for being. It's actually a desert. Like the Southwest U.S. is actually a desert, and it's very, very hot in Phoenix, Arizona, like at all times. Yeah. So and that's where my layover happened to be, and that's also where the airplane happened to break. Fun fact. Yeah, the next step of the story was when my layover was over and we boarded the airplane to go home to New York. We got hit with a sandstorm, which is apparently a thing there too. And the sandstorm damaged the airplane. And then while we were on the airplane, they announced this aircraft has been declared out of service.
That's all.
That happened.
What?
So we had to disembark, go back into the airport. It was like midnight at this point too. And then like it was funny because they were like, okay, we're gonna try to find a replacement aircraft for you guys. And like this is like one of those big like planes. Like this is one of like big like Boeing 787 or like whatever the heck it is. And now we have just had this like group of like 200 people just like they were like, okay, go to gate 40. Go gate 40. Okay, so you have this like mob of 200 people just walking across this empty airport in the middle of the night. It was so funny. And then we get there, and then they're like, actually go to gate 12. So now we're just walking back across the airport. We get there, and then like finally at 3 a.m. they were like, yeah, we couldn't find like another flight for you guys. Yeah, go home. Like go to a hotel. Here's some hotel vouchers. And like everyone was like pissed. And then everyone's like, and they're like, yeah, we'll fly you tomorrow at noon. We found a flight for like tomorrow at noon. You guys can all go home. And so everyone was pissed, and all these people were, like lining up to like complain or whatever. And like I was like at the back of the line because like I always take my time. I always go like the back of the line whenever there's a line. Like to board the airplanes, I'm always like the last one. I like to take my time. So I
have to check your bag in now.
And I'm like, all right, guys, what's up?
No. If you're at the end, usually the reason why I hate doing that is because like then you have to they force you to check your bag in, and then like
they make you check your carry-on.
They make you check your carry-on, and yeah.
I just hate like when there's like a whole line of people behind you. I feel like I'm being rushed. Like when I'm trying to like walk through the aisle and like stow my bag up top. I feel like I'm being like pressured. I don't know. I feel uncomfortable. So I like going last. But no. So anyway, I go. I'm in this line to like get my hotel voucher or whatever. I get to the front of the line and they're like, I'm all right, sir. Here you go. And I'm like, hey, okay, I need a different flight. And they're like, sir, everyone in this line just said that. We told you everyone's going home tomorrow at noon. We don't have any sooner flights. And I'm like, no. I don't need a sooner flight. I need a later flight. He's like, huh? And I'm like, send me home Monday. And she's like, huh? And I'm like, I don't need to be home tomorrow. I just need to be on the ground tomorrow. So I played their dual YCS from a hotel room in Arizona on my phone.
No way.
That was crazy.
So you played the first remote YCS.
I just need to be on the ground tomorrow.
At a hotel in Arizona.
Yes, I went to Best Buy the next morning and got like one of those claws to like hold my phone up to so I could like angle it at the. Cause I had my cards with me because I always travel with my cards. I went to locals where I was staying with my friend that week, so I had my cards with me, and like I have my phone. This is all I need. So I played the first remote YCS in the hotel room, and I think at some point during the week, and I think on day 2 my phone died because I didn't have knowing me, I probably just didn't have it plugged in. It died, and we didn't top. But Pac won that one, so it's okay. Right, Pac?
No, I mean, bro, you had to have your phone die for me to have a chance. So I'll take it.
but yeah, that was a big one. That was like that one. The first remote YCS I think had like 2,000 people, so that was a fun event. But yeah, no, and after that, like, I just have to be on the ground.
That's so crazy. And then after COVID, we had IRL play resume.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I know, like,
Well,
did you bubbled a couple events? I think at the beginning too.
Yeah. Well, so at the end of remote COVID, before IRL came back, I won the last remote YCS.
Yes, you won the
like
last one,
and
literally the last one. Yes.
Yep, the last one before IRL play came back with the base deck and all that good stuff. And then I played that one on my phone too. Fun fact, but
that phone been through it.
Bro, I wanna, bro. Can you tell us which brand of phone do you use? Because seems like the most powerful device ever.
It's
like you can use it on DB and you can play normally. You can use it to make like you do it to make remote duels. Like you can call the NASA. Like tell me, brother.
I have done all of my DB testing and all of my remote duels on this phone. You're gonna get even more sick. It's the iPhone SE. It's the one that they based off of the iPhone 8, like the old shell, the tiny one with the small screen from like 2018. But they relaunched in 2020 with a new name. It's that one.
Brother, what have you? Yo, I might have to go buy the SE now. That is insane.
Yo,
is that what it gets? I'll run.
What's that?
Fuck
no,
it.
I mean,
I'll buy.
But it's funny because there was a glitch on DV for like a year where it still worked, but like whenever there would be a face-up field spell, it would like freeze and like I couldn't click any buttons. So I'd have to tell my opponents to put their field spells in the spell and trap card zone. And then I have to put my field spells in the spell and it was for like a year. It was so annoying. And then they finally fixed it. They finally fixed it last year. And then about a month ago, it came back. Like the field spell glitch, it came back. And this time around, I was like, all right, no, I'm not doing this again. I messaged X Steve and I was like, hey, please, I don't know what you did, but you did something. Please undo it. And he was like, oh, I think I know what you're talking about. I was trying a new method for like loading the images on the site. And I was like, yes, that. And he was like, I guess it's not working, huh? And I was like, yes, what you just said. That. It's not working.
Now it works.
Please undo
it. Damn. I think I played you once on ranked, I think, and I think I trolled you by activating a card in the field spell. I knew it wouldn't work for you.
You did. You were like, I was like, yo, Park, want to play test? Because I'm always hitting everybody. I'm like, hey, want to play test?
Yeah.
And you were like, yeah, Paulie, I'm down to play test tonight. And then we got in a room, and then you activated Pot of Prosperity, and you revealed 6 field spells. And my dumbass didn't get it at first. And I started reading like the array of revealing light or some shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I played an entire deck of only field spells against you.
That shit was funny as fuck. I was there.
And then he activates like Fortune Lady Zone or something, and I start reading it, and I'm like, "Oh, Pat, can you put that in your phone trap zone though?" While I'm reading it, and then you were just like, "Paulie," and I was like, "What?" And you were like,
"Yes."
I don't know. You said something. You said something trolly, and I was like, "Damn, you got me."
Okay, so
yeah.
So what happened after the Remoto YCS that you won? The last one. The end of the Remoto era now.
And yeah, the end of the COVID era. So after that, I went to Charlotte. I think I went to most of the events from that point. Charlotte, Hartford.
Yep.
I didn't.
Did you go Niagara?
Or no? I did not go. I did not go to Niagara because I was told that you had to have. So I'm not vaccinated. I have a medical exemption, and I was told that the Canadian board was very strict about vaccination status.
Yeah.
So I wasn't. Yeah. So and then of course I heard from 3 friends afterward that they got in with like they didn't even show their vaccine card. I was like, oh well, guess I missed that one for no reason, but that's okay. No, but I went to a lot of the YCSs after that. I was finally able to start traveling, and I topped Nats last year with Dragon. I got 2nd place at YCS Costa Rica last November.
Yeah.
Lost to Jesse in finals.
That was when I threw against Jesse. It's all
I
good.
threw against Jesse too.
I misplayed. Yeah, we both misplayed against Jesse. That was crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Game 3, I
think you had it too, right? Yeah, you had it.
I did.
Yeah.
I 100%. So one of my biggest like flaws that I'm still trying to overcome is in person when the clock starts getting close to time, get tilt. I get like I like tilt myself. Like I try to because I want to start playing faster. Like whether I'm up or down in life, I like immediately try to like start picking up my pace. And I like once it gets to like the 10-minute mark, and like I just start fucking up. Like
Yeah.
it's yeah, and it's something like I'm still trying to work on. So it's but yeah, and no, we had like 7 minutes left, and I just like made like I don't know. I went on tilt and I made like a really stupid decision. No, it was a pretty stupid decision. I overlooked a factor on the board that was like public knowledge. It was known that I should have made the other play and would have won the match if I did. So, but
You live, you
that's
learn.
that's how it goes. You live, you learn. Keep practicing. And then I got first place at the 250th earlier this year.
Yeah, that was
and
crazy. That
then
was one of the biggest tournaments we've had.
Los Angeles, right?
Yeah, in Los Angeles. Yeah.
yeah,
With
3,300.
I think you avenged me. Didn't you beat the one of the Australians? I think you beat.
Yeah, I played two of them.
Yeah.
I played two of them in top 10.
Yeah.
Not
I think
Poe.
you played you played Jojo and Peter.
Zoe. Yep.
Yeah.
Jojo and Peter.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that was.
They judgmented me to sleep, bro, in the main deck.
I love this.
I was scared
so much. Like,
yeah.
I can't get on board with them maining it. Like, I just don't see how they got through that many rounds maining those cards. But I love those cards. Like, you guys saw my worlds list. I was siding Strike. I side Strike or Judgment at almost every single event in almost every single deck. So I fuck with that. I like that they were playing that. But not in the main deck.
I didn't feel too good about it when they judgmented me. Game 1. I'm like, brother, my Lord in Christ.
After that, I would like you to go over your deck list, like after you finish explaining.
Yeah. But yeah, no, and then I think I topped Philly, and then at Nats, won the playoff, bubbled the main event. Sadly, I was trying to top the main event too, but didn't get there. I think I finished 9-3, and then it was Worlds. So yeah, it's funny because like I still don't technically have that many Konami Premier Event tops. I think I have 5, but 2 are wins, 1's a second place, and then Worlds. I mean, I'm not counting that as a Premier Event because it's much obviously it's a small event, but that's
you just go like I think it's like you go really deep once you make top go, which is like really nice. I think that's a lot better than having a lot of tops, to be honest. Like how deep you go is like I think definitely way more important. I think like having a lot of tops just means you're consistent, but if you're consistent topping but not consistently going deep in top cut, it's another thing.
Yeah. I mean,
so.
I do respect. I do have a lot of respect though for the players who are like really consistent, who just like Dom and G, like the way they just top like every single event. Like I respect that a lot.
Yeah.
I like because like I said, I do sometimes like especially with the clock, like I do tilt sometimes. I definitely make misplays in person, and just like the players like that who can just I guess just don't do that or able to just always play that good that consistently. I think is something I really respect a lot.
Yeah, 100%.
But winning's cool too.
And I guess now that we are leading up to Worlds, so like the last piece of the movie is basically Worlds format, and Nesh talked about the deck list too. But right before the deck list, maybe can you go and talk a little bit more about Worlds preparation? What did that look like? Because I think that's probably one of the hardest part, right? Because I feel like everyone's playing in Worlds, so you can't really test with people playing for Worlds. You have to like find people to help you out, all that stuff. So like, how did you test for Worlds? And to be fully prepared. And I know you put in a lot of hours. And maybe you can talk about that too. How many hours you put in and all that good stuff. Yeah.
Oh, I can't answer that question. Can't answer that one. but no, it was fun. It was like I knew that this was going to be the most important event I ever played in, and I wanted to know that no matter how I did, I wanted to know that I tried as hard as I could. So every single day, I always tell. Plenty of viewers probably already heard this story because I tell it on every interview. But 2 days after WCQ was my birthday, and my friends were all like, "Oh, let's go out. You want to see the movie? Like, what are we gonna do to celebrate your birthday? Like, you just qualified for Worlds too. Let's celebrate." Blah blah blah. My parents were like, "Do you want to go out to dinner like for your birthday?" And I told everyone I would love to, but I can't. I have to stay home and I have to practice. And every single day, I practiced as much as I could. Oppenheimer came out, right? I'm a huge Christopher Nolan stan. I love him. I love his movies. They're like, I've been waiting for that movie for 2 years, counting down to the release date. And when the release date finally came, I said, I can't see it. I have to test for Worlds. So I literally like focused as much as I could. And it was kind of hard because it was hard to find people to play with. I actually didn't even, I'm sure if I could have found people, like more people who were just like, like for YCS, like I can almost anytime they hit up,
Anyone.
like find someone to hit up who will be down to test because everyone's trying to get ready for the same event.
Yep.
But for this, there were a lot of like top points where like I just couldn't find anyone to play with. So I probably would have played even more if I could have found more people. But no, I had a good group of friends who especially Hani. Hani was like the biggest person who he grinded almost as if he was going himself, grinded with me. We played a lot. He worked on, a couple decks really hard. He was Hani's one of my best friends, and he has helped me so much for like so many events and just like with so much shit. Like, I just like I can't thank him enough. But no, he was one of the main people I tested with. My friend Brad, who's my friend who built the base deck with me, year and a half ago when I won the remote YCS. He's another one of my best friends. One of the smartest players I know. Like he like him and Hani, like the three of us kind of work together a lot. And then like Jib, Lund, I played with them a little bit. Enzo, Enzo. So some of the other players who were qualified, at least they, were also grinding a lot. So that was, helpful for like finding people to play with. It's like, all right, well, the people who are actually going to the event, they're going to want to grind. So, then there was a little bit of like, well, some people kind of want to, don't want to test with too many people because you don't want to give away like what you're kind of working on. So kind of like for the playoff in the US, a lot of players were kind of keeping to themselves, at least this year especially because there were 32 people in the playoff. There was a lot of exclusivity and kind of people trying to keep what they were doing on the low. I actually had trouble for Nats this year finding people to test with at times because of that.
Nats was
it's funny
very difficult, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because like for me, I've never really been about that. Like I've always kind of been about like I'm down to test with whoever's down to test, or like when I'm looking for someone to when I'm ready to play, like I'm not about like I don't worry that much about like concealing like what I'm playing or like trying to like not discuss things with too many people. I've always felt like the more people you exchange ideas with, like the more it helps you too. Because like, yeah, sure, now they know what you're thinking, but you know what they're thinking too. So it's like the more people you talk to, we're not gods, right? We all like, it's so easy as humans to like make a mistake or like be thinking something's really good that like if you just run it by someone else, it's like, oh wait, they might see a flaw in it or point out a reason why like your idea sucks. So it's like keeping to just yourself or just a few people, I think is really easy to like potentially overlook things or end up in like an echo chamber.
Yeah.
So I really like working with as many people as possible. And like I kept kind of teasing like some of the others a little bit, like going up to Nats, like, man, you guys are being silly. Like you don't need to like I'm playing with whoever, like y'all are being silly. And because I feel like if you put the time in and if you practice more than everyone else, it doesn't matter if everyone knows what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you practice more than them, you're still gonna have the edge. So like that's usually my approach. For Worlds, for the very first time, I thought about taking the opposite approach. And for like the first week, I was very, very like, okay, do I even want to play with like the other North American players who are qualified? Do I want to like just keep like, because this is such an important tournament and it's so small that it's like, all right, maybe for once I should really keep to myself and just keep everything on the low. And for the first week, I kind of like was trying to do that. But then it was just like, I don't know, like kind of just like the whole US was like being so supportive of like all of us who had qualified and just wanting to see like as a country us win for the first time. People were kind of encouraging me like, just work with you. They were just like work with each other, right? Like, fuck it. So I reached out to Enzo and I reached out to Lars and I reached out to like the other child players. Steven kind of he kept himself a little bit. He was well prepared for World 2, but he kind of tested with like a small group. And I was just like, you know what? And from that point, I kind of like pretty much everyone knew what I was playing going into Worlds. I literally told everyone like the day before the event that I was playing Dragons. I played with Enzo online a bunch. I played with a bunch of people. So I kind of said, you know what? I'm gonna take the same strategy that I had for Nats and that I had for all the other events. I'm gonna play with whoever, and I'm not gonna worry about like trying to keep anything on the low. And it worked out for Nats and for Worlds. So
he actually DM'd me that you wanted to test against Brandon, and I told him, yo, like, just tell him to hit me up, and then we can test. Then
I was trying to like, once I finally decided on my deck, I wanted to like, my next goal was like, okay, I want to fill in all the blind spots of like I wanted to make sure I had practiced every single matchup and like, you know, had the side patterns down, had the interactions down for like every matchup that I thought I might see. And Brandon was one of the ones I hadn't tested against at all. And I knew you were one of, you know, I knew you had been playing Dragon from the DB grinder tournament. And that was why, I had wanted to, but at the last couple days before the event, I ended up having like, there was still like 6 decks left that I wanted to test against. And I was still testing one other deck of like a whole nother deck myself that I was considering playing.
Is it Manado?
So I just kind of ran, Vanadium, and I kind of just I kind of ran out of time and wasn't able to fit everything in that I wanted to at the end. So that's why you never heard from me, because I was going to hit you up, but I didn't. I ran out of time.
Remember you messaged me, asked me like, "Yo, how did the Vanadium deck go?" Because you saw me play it at locals, I think, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'll send you my list." And I actually thought you were gonna play, because I think that deck was insane for Worlds too. Like I think
it was the best.
I think it was the most powerful deck like in the format, and no one main Joel, so you just full combo every time.
Yep. When I finally got to World, like going into World, my final decision was between Dragon and Vanadium. The day before Worlds, I ran to my locals and like to my friends' houses and like got all the cards. Like I put the Vanadium deck together the day before I left, and because I wanted to have both. I still hadn't made my final decision, and I wanted to have both with me. In Japan. So I think Vanadium, like I've been saying this, I think Vanadium was the best deck for the event, but no one played it. And I made the final decision not to play it because like I always say you should always play like the deck that you know the best and that you're the most comfortable with and that you've practiced with the most over the over like the theoretical best deck. So even though I felt Vanadium was a stronger deck, I knew I had more testing time with Dragon. I had all the siding patterns down for the most part. I had practiced most of the matchups. You know, I actually was concerned going to the event because I felt like I had tested so much that I was able to see the flaws that Dragon did have. And like, I didn't feel like it was a very strong choice going into the event, but I felt stuck because I knew it was a deck I had at least half my testing time was like with Dragon. So I was like, I have to play this deck because this is the deck I've committed to basically inadvertently. But I was afraid I was going to do really bad. But fortunately, like I always say, like, I think like if you have a deck that you like that if you know all the interactions with, you know the sign patterns, you have a good build, like even if it's not the best deck, I think you can still do really well. And maybe it was the best deck for the event. I don't know, because 2 Dragons made top 4, and like it did actually at the event perform really well. And and I was like, oh, you know what? Maybe this was the best deck. I don't know.
I will have to agree with you on the fact that Dragon was the best deck. I also helped preparing Christian Thomas for the event, and he was on Dragolink as well. Brother, we did a spreadsheet with all the possible decks, and we built every deck. And Dragolink, in my opinion, was just superior.
Yeah, I think like another thing that if you notice and you looked at top 8, right? Or was it top Worlds was top 4, I believe. And I don't know if you noticed, like did you have any concerns that you were gonna have to play against the TCBU in top 4? I know you had to play against Vanquish Soul in top 4, and I think TCBU was just so broken.
Oh yeah, TCBU was the best card in the format. We tried to find a deck that could play TCBU, because it was I also had a list of like all the viable decks for the format that I could think of, and like of the like 19 decks, I think like 15 of them literally concede to TCBU. So it was like
I thought he was gonna win.
None of them could play TCBU.
I actually thought Jeremy Mitchell was gonna win just off the backbone of TCBU. I was like,
So I'll say this regarding TCBU and Vanquish Soul. So TCBU, that was another of the reasons why I actually really wanted to play Vanadium, was because Jib had been arguing that like Jib topped the DB Grinder tournament with TCBU in his main deck in Vanadium, and he was insistent that like it actually like it fits in the deck, and like it works. And I was like, okay. So like, but in testing, like, I don't know, I think like 2 games in a row at the end where I was trying Vanadium, I was running games where like if I went first and resolved Tikaboo, like what can I do on turn 3? And 2 games in a row, I couldn't make a single synchro monster under my own Tikaboo with a combination with a hand of like 3 combo pieces. And I was like, all right, this doesn't work. So I don't actually think Vanadium could really play Tikaboo very efficiently. And so at that point, the only deck that could really play it was like Vanquish Soul or maybe like Striker or something. But Vanquish Soul also, like, we tested that deck a lot as well too, and like it just has consistency issues. Like there's too many games where like it can just lose to Ash, or you just don't open like access to Raisin. And it was because even with Tikaboo in the main in testing, I was pretty consistently beating Vanquish Soul with Dragon and with I think Rika as well too. So I was like, okay, even though it can play Tikaboo, it didn't seem to be enough to outweigh the weakness of the engine itself. So Jeremy did beat me in the last round of Swiss. He was actually my opponent in the final round 7.
Yeah.
But I kind of drew weak. I think I bricked game 1, and then I might have bricked twice that match. I'm not sure, but I still felt going to day 2, like I still felt fairly confident for that match just because I had practiced that matchup so much, and I knew even with Tikaboo, it was at least 50-50, and I still felt I was favored in that matchup. But no, I think game 2 he Tikabooed me, and I outed it with an Imperm, but I made a slight misplay and lost because I almost played through Tikaboo and 3 stops on like turn 6 or something, but I made a slight mistake and lost to like the 3rd stop, I think, which like it sucked because so we went to game 3 because I didn't make it. I think it was like I had Imperm set up to negate the Tikaboo. He had Dust Devil set. He had like Mad Love Engrave. He had Raisin in hand. It was something like that where he had like, and then I had like the Imperm set. I had something to bait to force the book. And then I had another sender to play through the Raisin. For whatever it was, I forget. But like,
maybe you summoned the same column as Raisin by accident.
No, it wasn't that. I know what the misplay was. I just couldn't remember the exact card. But the misplay was like out of habit. I drew and said stand by main, and
should Imperm and draw phase
to use drawing. Yeah, Imperm and draw phase.
The link 1 effect, because he was able to. I think it was. I don't even think he had a Raisin. I think he had like. He had the Reborn spell and the Dust Devil set, so he Reborn spelled the Mad Love to have a target for the Dust Devil. But then because he was able to add back with the link 1 to hand, the Mad Love bounce effect became live because the link 1 add back turned on the Mad Love, which turned on 1 extra stop, which got me. And if I just draw phase Imperm the link 1, then like he would never have the card, and he wouldn't have had the Mad Love bounce live, and the Dust Devil alone I was gonna be able to play through it. So it was fun. Yeah, it sucked. Like, damn, I set all this up for like 2 turns and just to like lose to like such a dumb thing. I was pissed at myself, and I was like, all right, well, I guess that's how my tournament ends, and I deserve that. But we have game 3, so we're gonna try. And then game 3, I forget what happened in game 3, but I was able to win game 3. So
that was in top 4, right? That was in top 4.
I was top 4.
Okay. I wish they streamed it, man. I wanted to watch that. Because I was actually really excited to watch that game too. Like, I know there's other match going on, but yeah, I wish they streamed both top 4s. Like, if they made us wait, it would have been lit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's always nice to go back and watch and see what you could have done better too. Would have been nice.
100%. So that was that, and then yeah. Vanquish Soul.
How did you feel about I know you like talked to some of the OCG players and you became friends with them too. What were your thoughts on like no OCG players making top cut for the first time like ever in God knows how long? I don't know if this is the first time ever for sure, so don't quote me on that. But I was honestly very surprised because OCG players have typically dominated the World format tournament and has won them every like for the past couple. I think like they've won it every single year since like 2014 or something. I don't know what the number was, but yeah.
Yeah. So what happened with that, I'm pretty sure, is so this was the first time Worlds was plagued with TCG time rules.
Oh, what did 2019 time rules look like? Do you know?
4 turns.
Oh,
it was turns.
Oh, it was turns. Really? In Worlds was turns?
Yes, Worlds was. I'm pretty sure up until this year, World was always turns. And this was the
Oh,
first year, and so the OCG players were forced to try to adapt the TCG time rules, which is obviously something that think about how we I guess
I didn't
I
know
don't
that.
I know you didn't play back then, but
Yeah.
when we first had to adapt the time rules for the first time, that first event, it was really hard, and it took all of us a long time to kind of adapt to the new rules. So for the OCG players to only kind of have a month to get used to the time rules and figure out just having to play under pressure on the clock, because with the old time rules, you can I'm told my friend told me in the OCG, like, I don't know if this is true or not, but apparently, like, it's accepted and like standard to like sit down and take like several minutes to think out like your entire turn, your entire line before you take your first
It's
action.
like a
And
gentleman's
that's
agreement,
considered
right? Kind of thing. Yeah.
kind of like that. And because like it goes to turns in the end anyway, it's like no one's really like pressed for time, and it's like standard, I guess, for their rounds to go like an hour and a half apparently, which is like crazy. But
Really?
that's why I think that's actually,
Oh
because I always
wow.
wondered why the JYCSs are best of one, and I think that's why, because they use the old time rules, and so for them, if that's how they play, it actually has to be best of one, because you wouldn't be able to do a YCS with
Best
like
of
with
threes.
2 out of 3 with the right. So apparently that's kind of how she plays. And so, to go from that to being used to like, being able to take your time basically as much as you want, to going to this, where I think a lot of the Oshi players were caught off guard, because not just like not being used to like not having turns and like, those last couple minutes leading up to time, but even just like when you first sit down, if you're not used to like having to play at a certain pace, and you're used to, let's say, just being able to take several minutes to think through your whole turn, like, that's a huge shock.
Yeah.
To be forced to, like, let's say, make an action every so many seconds, like I said in the beginning, like, we've kind of, in the TCG, we've kind of accepted you can never, you
Oh,
can't
I'm rapid fire when the
play
clock is quick. I'm like, I gotta make my
can't
play.
right, you can't always, even from the beginning of the duel, like, you can't always, you can't sit there and think everything through to make the perfect play like you can on, let's say, DB
Yeah.
or with old time rules.
Yeah.
Or an OCG, I guess. Like, you have to, make those concessions of, you're playing the best you can with the time you have available to you. And I guess, if you're for the OCG players, like, if you're not used to playing like that, it's such. I feel really bad for them, and I think like it was very unfair to them. And I guess on OCG Twitter, that's actually a big thing that's being discussed. They feel like they were treated very unfairly this year because of that. So it's interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, I'm actually planning to, like, I'm sure it's not going to do any good, but I'm going to personally try to talk to Konami and like advocate for like maybe doing turns again next year at Worlds, because
I mean,
I do
turns would have
think
been insane.
I think it does feel unfair to those OCG players, like, who aren't used to that, because it would be far easier for us to adapt to turns than it would be for them to adapt to our
But bro, but Paulie,
method
but
of
what
time.
if I go to Worlds for the first time next year, and I've never played with turns before?
Shut up! Okay. Yeah, it's so easy to play.
Bro, I've never
this.
played with turns,
It's
bro.
like
I don't
this.
know, bro.
It's
It's
like
actually
this,
easy to play into tunes.
Bro,
Like,
I don't
what
know,
the
bro.
heck?
I'll tell you the secret. I'll tell you the secret. Here's the secret. It's just like normal, but you get 4 extra turns.
Oh, okay, but they still. I mean, like, yeah, that makes sense. Did you play any OCG players in Swiss rounds? How did that go for you? Was there any language barrier? That kind of stuff. That's what I'm also kind of curious about.
I think I played one OCG player in Swiss. We spoke English pretty good, so we had a good match.
Okay, nice.
I played I played the Chinese representative.
Okay.
He was playing Tear. We had a good game. Game 1, I know game 3 I bricked going first. And I had Strike and Ash and like another hand trap, I think, and I was able to like strike and the Ash got there. That's what I always say.
You sure you played
I
dragons,
like my
bro?
go first. I like my go first side cards. I always like to play the most generic stuff, because if you like people are like, oh, why didn't you play Virus, or didn't you play like a Floodgate? Like, no, I don't like. That's why I hate playing like siding Floodgates or cards like Virus, because it's like, if you brick, your hand's now even worse. Whereas if you play with a card like Strike, you still have like some potential to be able to still win the game. And like that was one of those games where that happened.
I mean, that makes sense, to be honest.
And then yeah, like, well, if we talk about decks later, I can talk more in depth about that. But that's like one of my general philosophies. But yeah, like, but then on my turn, yeah, he just had like a Sharian at the end of his turn, and I was able to get him on turn 3.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, we were getting close to time. I think I had like full combo, we were getting close to time, so I had to go to battle phase, like attack with like 2 bestials, and then I think like yeah, it was funny, but I was afraid I was gonna lose in time because of the strike. I almost did. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, strike you have to pay 15. Yeah, dude, I haven't activated that card in so long. You know how long it's been since I've been strike? Since 2019.
That's funny.
Okay, let's talk about the deck list now.
Sure.
For whoever is listening right now to the podcast, you can easily search the Paulie deck list online. You can go on YouTube, or you can just Google his name and you will find it on Wikia. So about the fact that you are playing the trap, like the bestial trap. Okay, we saw many Dragon Link players not playing it. I'm a huge fan of that card, but I want to know your thoughts about it. Why did you play it, even though most of the top players were not playing it in the recent events?
So I think Beast is like, you have to play Beast. Like it's part of your main. It's one of the interrupts that you end on as part of your main combo turn 1. I think like the ceiling of the deck would just be lower without it. I think in the TCG, like at Nats, like current format, like leading up to Nats and stuff, the ceiling of the deck overall was a lot higher with 3 Magnemite and 3 Lubellion. So like you could afford to end on like 1 less interrupt and still win the grind game. Like a lot of Dragon players at Nats were going with the strategy of like play card advantage, like end on regained instead of Beast, just like Fears makes it very hard for them to kill you, and you just end on like a couple stops. Search Levy at their end phase off of Magma, and then on like on turn 3 on your turn, you just have so much card advantage that you can just do whatever you want and kill them. And like Regained helps set up that like that advantage. For Worlds format, the deck didn't. So for one thing, Magma was limited. So like if you used Magma at turn 1, then like on turn 2, you weren't always able to like guarantee you're resolving it to search the Levy near. So like your turn 3 wasn't always going to be as good. So it was more important to just not fall behind on turn 2 and just end on as many interrupts as possible, rather than rely on like just like plussing super hard. I don't know, just in testing, it felt overall like you definitely had to end on Beast every turn. And TCG, it did feel like you didn't have to do that as much. So I think it was a function of the Magma and the Lubellion being limited.
I actually was gonna bring that out. I think the fact that the Magramut is limited and you can and you're gonna special summon it anyway, soft seal, makes more sense now to search Saronir, and to Saronir it's gonna send the Regained. So it's more likely that you can place a Beast on the board and then summon, and then like place the Regained, and then you seal for Magramut.
Right.
That's in your
right. Hand. If you search Saronir turn 1 instead of Magma, right, you can still set up the spell and the trap and then Magma on their turn. I will say though, I usually found myself not going for that line. I usually just found myself going for the Magma turn 1, just because it guarantees the search turn 1, so it's more advantage up front. And well, okay, maybe I shouldn't say that, but more so it's the issue of like, if you sacrifice the Magma for the Saronir dump, and then the Lubellion doesn't go through, like if they impermit or if they nib you on the Lubellion summon, like now you don't have the Magma. You're down 1 card relative to what you would have otherwise had, because you chose to like put more into the Lubellion to have more if it resolves, but have less if it doesn't resolve. Whereas if you just go for the Magma instead of the Saronir, it guarantees like it's like a guaranteed middle way in terms of advantage, because you're guaranteed the Jerusalem at the end phase or like whatever you're searching. So I usually still went for the Magnemite turn 1 instead of the Saronir, but it was like, I don't know, it's a toss up. It's definitely one of the things that could be. There's a lot of hands where it's debatable that the other line could have been correct.
I mean, I mean, depends on the rest of your end, I guess. Like there are some lines that maybe are better to go for Saronir, others that are better to go for Magma.
There's definitely hands where either can be where there's cases of both for sure.
Chaos Emperor, the Dragon of Armageddon. About it.
Yeah, so on the way to Japan on the plane, my Will Kennedy messaged me. He some of you guys probably know, he's like loves Dragon. He's like been playing the deck for like 2 years. He helped me test a lot for the event. Not a huge amount, but he gave me some good advice for playing Dragon, because I used to play Dragon a lot like a couple years back, but I haven't, and I played Adventure Dragon at Nats last year. but I haven't really played it since the Bestials came out, and they really changed a lot of the lines. So like Will was helping me a lot, like preparing for this event, like with some of the new dragon lines and like for the mirror. And he messaged me while I was on the plane and was like, "Yo, I think I thought of the solution to the mirror, because in the mirror, especially for World Tour, like the
Bestials,
getting your one the Bestials, because getting your one Lubellian banished was huge because it's at 1. So in the mirror, that's like a big thing. It's like if one player like gets their Lubellian banished and the other doesn't, like you're at a huge disadvantage. And just like so with Emperor, like that was a way to like add back a Lubellian. So imagine like you dump your Lubellian off of like Ravine or something, and like it gets it gets Bestial. Now you can add it back, use the Lubellian effect to search, and then now you have your Lubellian back in grave, which they had, which the grave effect is inherent. So like now you can still summon it from grave, get both effects off of it, and so that was like I was like, yo, that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, and then but I didn't bring that card, and I'm pretty sure no one else brought that card either. So I ended up having to run around. That's the reason that was the one OCG card in my deck, was because
okay, I saw that in your deck profile too. I'm like, why does he have one OCG card? Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, because literally I ran around Akihabara like Friday trying to get there, like literally for 2 hours. I went to every card. Like there's this one building in Akihabara, that's like the anime district.
Yeah,
where like there's like 7 floors and there's like a whole bunch of cars.
Oh, yeah, it's
I
a
went
mall.
to
It's like the mall one. It's like a really big mall type of thing, right? I think I've been.
It's not really a mall. It's kind of like it's actually like a very narrow building, but it goes up like 7 or 9 floors or something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I checked like 10 card shops in that building, and not a single one of them had the card.
Damn.
So now I'm like trying to run around finding like other card shops in the area, because like I know there's others, but I don't know where they are. So I'm like literally just going into like random buildings where I don't know if they have like cards upstairs or not, because all these buildings are like multiple floors. I'm like running up and down stairs in all these buildings, like no one has cards, this guy has cards but it's not Yu-Gi-Oh, this guy has Yu-Gi-Oh but it's not the card I'm looking for. And then finally, like the very last shop I checked, and by this point like it was like 90 something degrees there that week. It was like 95 or something. And I'm like dehydrated as fuck at this point. My head's pounding. I'm like dizzy. I'm still running up and down these stairs trying to find this card. And the very last shop I went to had one. And I was able to get it. With like 20 minutes left before the bus came to pick us up. And I was like, that was fun. So it never came up in the mirror. It never came up in the mirror, but I did open it several times, and it was actually just a really good card. It was like 2 extenders in one, basically. So it was good. I'm very glad I played it.
You can pitch it off Ravine, and you can send Safer to banish Safer, add it back to the end, and then you can use it to add back Safer. That shit is broken.
Yeah.
Thank God there were no ice cream shop near to the card shop. Otherwise,
yeah. Wait, so Paulie, after Worlds, I know you won a lot of nice prizes. Okay, so do you want to talk about what you got for winning first place? It's like not very clear. I don't know if you saw that in the FAQ as well. But I want to let's talk about what you received from winning the World Championship, right? The biggest tournament of the year.
Yeah. It was actually very unclear, because in the player information packet that they emailed us, it made it sound like the top 4 all got the same prize card. So I actually was under the impression that I was going to be winning the same prize card as 2nd and 3rd and 4th. And I was pleasantly surprised that I did get a different prize card. That was cool. But,
no, you should. I mean that's how it worked always. No. But I know what you mean, because it's just this prize card, right? I think I saw the email.
Yeah. So it was I did get a unique prize card. I think there's 5 copies of it in circulation, because the 3 Master Rule winners got it, and then the Duel Link winner got it.
Yeah.
So I got the prize card. Top 4 got a mat. So I got the top 4 play mat. A trophy, which I got a cool trophy. Hasn't been sent to me yet, because
you're getting engraved.
The one it's getting engraved. The one it was actually it's getting engraved, and then it's gonna be I guess mailed to me. And then what else? I don't know if top 4 got anything else unique. There was a lot of cool participation prizes. We all got like 3 unique playmats each. We all got like some cool OCG product, TCG product, souvenir envelope with Dark Magician Girl and Magic Cylinder. That was cool. Yeah, those are cool. They're like I think they're quarter century rare prints, so they're very nice and shiny. And yeah, that's I think it. So just like the prize card, the trophy, and the top format.
So the question everyone wants to know, man. So have you sold the prize card?
How much?
I have not sold the prize card. I have I haven't made a full decision yet, but I do still have it with me, and will probably and I will probably keep it. I will probably keep it.
Oh wow, okay. You have gotten offers though.
I have gotten offers. I have gotten some really good. I've gotten some really good offers, but very tempting offers. Offers that I could probably go to every YCS for a long time with the money. But
all the ice cream that you want.
Eat all the I could eat all the ice cream.
I think so someone asked me. So someone, I'm not gonna say who. Someone asked me to ask you, Paulie, if you would sell him the prize card. And I told the guy, I'm like, bro, I think Paulie keeps everything he has ever won from every main event. I'm not even gonna try, to be honest. Like, because you still have both your ultras, right? You still have both your ultras. Yep. Like you kept everything. And honestly, bro, I think I would do the same, to be honest. That shit is history. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like look, it's tempting because it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. Yeah.
I've been offered, but it's I don't know. I like you said, I've kept all my prizes, so I'm probably gonna be keeping it.
Yeah. Yep. And now that Worlds is over, what's next for you? So I know we have a bunch of YCs coming up. Are you gonna be attending?
No, I decided I'm gonna quit.
Oh, okay, nice, got it. So you're giving us a chance, eh?
Yeah,
I see how it is.
Yeah, I'm gonna I'm gonna play. I'm gonna play golf. I'm gonna play golf.
You want to play golf? Okay, you sure you don't want to play Pokemon? You sure? Like Digimon?
I think golf.
No. Bro,
I'm just
you living playing with the cards to start playing with the balls, my brother.
I think so I thought about it briefly. I was like, I guess I could just I feel like this is like, it's kind of like a high point of what, like, I feel like this is like the high. You can't go up from here. This is like the this is the
pinnacle.
You can't go. It's the pinnacle. I'm really like I'm so excited that I was able to like win, like be the first American to win Worlds. Like everybody's been so supportive, and like just like support, like the amount of support. Just I also like really appreciate it. Like, I've always advocated for like playing with good sportsmanship, and a lot of people have been messaging me saying that like they noticed that during my streams or whatever or whatnot, and like that they just saying that they appreciate that, and like I'm really appreciative of that people like have noticed that, and like just everyone's been so supportive. I just like it's like the high point, right? Like it can.
Bro, Paulie, I heard you flew to a regional this past weekend.
It can only get worse from here. It can only get worse from here.
Bro,
but
well, what's up?
You heard what now? I
heard you. I heard you went to a regional and didn't talk, bro. How could you, man? You're the world champion.
So that's not true. I did not go to regional this coming weekend. I am going to regional this coming weekend.
Oh, okay. Okay. Bro, I would be swaying bad. Yo, if Paulie.
Wait, I don't get it. Does he want, bro? Maybe because I don't speak English very well, but
yes,
he's stop playing or not?
No, he's not stopping playing, bro. He's not. He's going to a regional this weekend. Paulie, you don't need to grab Worlds points, bro. You already go to Worlds next year.
Hold on.
Wait, and what about golf?
No, I was joking.
Yes, you are a Bose, bro.
No, I was just kidding. I did think about taking a break from the game.
I don't get this English humor. Oh, I'm sorry. Can I offer you a cup of tea?
What?
No, to be fair, no, but to be fair, I didn't say I didn't really make it that clear that it was a joke. So it's fair. It's okay. I was joking. I did think about taking a break from the game, like I said, just because like I feel like this is the high point, and it like you can only go down from here, right? So I'm like, maybe I should step away, but then I'm like, I can't, because like Yu-Gi-Oh is my life. Yu-Gi-Oh is my life, and it's like, so I'm gonna keep playing. I'm gonna keep keep
Yeah,
having fun, keep
so,
traveling.
someone was saying that like, yo, why is Paulie going to a freaking regional this weekend? He heard he's going to Worlds next year, right? And then I was in the call too, and I was like, bro, he just loves Yu-Gi-Oh and he wants to play, man. There's nothing wrong with it, bro.
So the joke, the joke earlier this year that I was making was people would be like like you know, whenever I go to regional, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm going, you know, I gotta get world points, you know, gotta get world points, and then I totally wouldn't have been going to the regionals anyway if I didn't need world points. But yeah, it's world points, it's world points. And then I was joking that like this was like 3 months ago. I was joking like, yeah, the problem is if I win worlds, then like I won't be then like what am I gonna do next year? What's my excuse gonna be next year?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
what's your excuse for going to
but,
regionals? Nah, regionals are fun, man. I love regionals. They're great.
And also, it's gonna be super awkward for you, Paulie. Like everyone is gonna ask for autographs, pictures.
I know,
Your ass.
but it's okay. But no, I am. But yes, to answer your what you heard, I am flying to regional this weekend.
Nice. Which regional you attending?
Kissimmee in Florida.
Kissimmee. Okay. Are you staying for the Florida one the week after as well in Orlando or
yeah, I will be.
Okay,
Kissimmee, nice. And then I think it's in like
Miami. It's Miami or Orlando?
No, the Miami one was the one this past weekend, which was the one that you probably heard I was going to, but I ended up not going to that one because I wanted some time to rest.
Okay.
I think it's in like Lake Worth or something. It's Fort Worth, something, some town in Florida.
Okay.
About an hour outside in Orlando, I think. Yeah, so I'm gonna try to hit both. To be honest. You
think you're gonna be attending West Brazil too, or?
I think I'll be at both of them. There's a chance I might not be at those regionals. It has been like weirdly a busy week, and I'm thinking I actually haven't been practicing new format at all, so there's a chance I might skip them, but I do have a flight booked, and I'm probably going to be at both of them. And Brazil, I'm undecided on Brazil. I have a friend, me and Luke want to go, but we're not sure yet if for both of us it's expensive, Brazil.
Yeah.
So it depends on some things. It also depends on if who our third would be, and if we find someone who we really want to play with. If anyone wants to hit us up, we're haven't fully made a decision yet, so still looking for a third. But yeah, so might do Brazil. Definitely gonna try to do Cancun. Gonna try to do Vancouver, Indy.
What about Dortmund, bro? You gotta go over to Europe, bro. Show them we're not free,
I actually, I was told that in Europe, apparently they're saying is, apparently they say, well, America is the land of the free after all. And I'm like, whoa.
No, we never said that. We never said that, bro. No. People
I don't know, Nash.
That never happened. I can guarantee you.
Yo.
Something like that never happened.
Land of the free, apparently, eh? Yeah, Paul, we have to go. We might have to go over there. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
I think Nash is trolling us right now.
Nah, bro, that never happened. I can guarantee you that never happened.
Bro, we might have to.
I know we might have to. We might have to.
We might have to make a trip, eh?
As long as we have Nash behind us. But yeah, no, we might. No, I was looking at tickets earlier, and they
look
very expensive.
Yeah, I mean,
nope,
we have to do the 600 one is fine. We might have to do that one. We'll look into it.
Yeah. There's like another city that's like an hour away that like is like half the price to fly to. So I think we're gonna try to like fly there and then take the train and do the Europe grind. I hear that's what the Europeans do a lot. You know, to travel around the continent. So we'll have to get the experience.
Yeah, I think I started looking at Dortmund flights as well because they just announced that today, and it's like we have to fly to Dusseldorf and then take a train. But if you fly to Dusseldorf, it's like 600. But if you fly to straight Dortmund, it's a much smaller airport from what I've seen, and it's like $1,400, I think.
Which is it was 1,200 when I looked. It's something crazy that like I've never spent that much.
We might gotta do that train grind. No cat. I'm about to hop on that train.
Yeah. No, I think because I think that's what they do there. Because Jess was telling me like for World, she had to fly from Britain to Germany to Japan. I think I was like, damn.
Oh, that's crazy.
So I guess.
By the way, it's kind of funny because I did some background researches of why, like for Europeans, the Americans event don't count for points for world. There is actually like the
Yeah.
issue
What
is
now?
just one
What?
person.
Hello? My connection cut out for like 20 seconds.
Oh,
What'd you say now?
Okay.
You're back. Say
Okay,
again,
so
Nesh?
what I was saying is, I actually did some background researches about why, if I'm an European player and I go to American events, like if I win a YCS, I don't get points for worlds. Like the issue is just one person,
Yeah.
Darren.
Oh, about like the Worlds points thing? About like if you're a European
Yeah.
and you come to American events, you don't get Worlds points towards Europe, right?
It's literally just Darren. He literally played all the American events in 1 year to go to Worlds.
Oh.
And because of him, now if I go to an American event, I don't get points for Worlds. So shout out to Darren, you are insane, brother.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, it's tough because if you're a European player, you have to choose between going to European events or a NA event, especially if they're on the same time. But it's the same thing for us though. Like if I go to Europe and I top at a European YCS, I don't get any Worlds points. But
that's true.
Yeah.
But that was the first time that someone did actually grind all the fucking US events and regionals.
Yeah.
Like he played something like 25 US events in order to go to Worlds.
Run it, baby. Run it.
That was crazy. Yo, bro, like, I'm gonna keep it a buck, bro. Like, you can send me. I'm gonna drop the PayPal in the chat, Darren, if you're here, my brother.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the grind is tough. You know what's crazy? See, another point. I think this year, more people are doing the Worlds grind more than ever. I think, Paulie, you inspired a lot of people. Like, I'm talking about like people that, I haven't like they're on the come up in the competitive scene, I would say. And a lot of people are now all doing the Worlds grind. Like I'm talking about, I've heard of people flying to regionals, bro. Like that was a thing that people have never done before. Okay, people don't do that. Now people are flying. It's not as prevalent as now, I would say.
That was done in 2018, 2019. In fact, generally, it was thought that like if you were gonna do the world grind, like that's what people usually associated with it. Like it was like, oh, you're gonna have to fly to regionals. But I don't actually think there were that many people who actually did it.
Yeah.
Wei Lee was like the big one. He flew every single weekend to regional. He grinded like heck. Like he put so much work in, and he ended up going to world. He ended up missing out on the points playoff, but qualifying through the main event, and he made it. So, but no, you're right. Definitely, like certainly at least this last year, like very few people flew to any regionals. I don't think anyone flew to regionals.
Nope.
Some of us took like the train to maybe go, 10 hours or something to regional, but I don't think anyone really flew.
Yeah.
Except for maybe a few exceptions. But no, I've heard that too. I've seen people talking about that for this coming year.
Yeah.
As well.
I mean, think about it. Now you are basically the Gold D Roger of Yu-Gi-Oh. Okay, you started the new pirate era. Okay, there is the One Piece, and the One Piece is basically the World Championship. You are no Monkey D. Luffy. You are Paulie the American Dragon. You have the D in your name.
Yo, Mesh, you're actually an idiot, bro.
Bro, think about it. Think about it. He literally started
the One Piece is
One
real.
Piece, but for Yu-Gi-Oh.
Well,
we got people like Gunter that now is traveling and he's grinding even more, and he was like, nah, I'm chilling. Now I see Gunter testing every fucking day.
Yeah. No, like Paulie, after you won, like people that I know, like people that like are at the top of a competitive scene, we've been like, we got our ass lit on fire. We're playing every day. We're testing nonstop.
Really?
Yes, I have 2 alt accounts on DB with over 1200 rating. Like I'm about to make a third one for fun, to be honest.
And I'm actually going to the next YCS in Dortmund. I literally I'm gonna book tomorrow for that.
Yeah.
Hey.
You kinda inspired me.
Yeah.
Paulie the American Dragon.
Yeah. So.
Awesome.
So that was great. That was a great feeling. But guys, we're coming towards the end. This was a great conversation. Paulie, thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Do you have any last words, shout outs before we wrap this up?
Yes.
Yep.
Some first of all, shout out to High Frequency Games. That's our new team. Me and Hani, Kamal, Tommy. High Frequency Games. We're trying to build up our new team. We're gonna be doing a Twitter giveaway in the next couple days, so check that out. You guys can follow me on Twitter, follow me on Facebook, add me on Facebook. I'm gonna be doing coaching again this upcoming season, starting again soon. So if anyone's interested, hit me up for that. Shout outs to Hani. Shout outs to my boys. Shout outs to everyone, my parents, my friends, everybody. Konami, the Konami staff was super awesome at the event at Worlds. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to you guys. And as far as last words, I always say my number one piece of advice to all players is just practice as much as you can, just test as much as you can. The more knowledge you have to bring to an event, the better you'll do. And and play with good sportsmanship. I like to I hope I showed everybody that you can play with good sportsmanship and just have fun and still do well. Yeah.
I'm sorry, bro. I would shark even my mom on the table.
That's what struck his mom on the bubble, bro. That's what he said.
I'm telling you.
No. All jokes aside, nah. I think it was solid. I think that was a great message. But
that was good,
guys. GUUCAST signing out. We'll be back on regular schedule again. I know. Now it's a message to all the fans that since Worlds is finally over, the new season is back in order. We can finally resume a regularly scheduled GUUCAST. Let us know in the comment section below who you would want to see next. But yeah, this was a great conversation. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah,
and
that was fun.
And I'll see you guys. In the next one. All right. See you guys at the next YCS. Come say hi to us if you see us in person. Peace.